Coming up on Cogeco News this day, the latest on the wide-ranging impact of the coronavirus from municipal to federal responses. The food bank needs your help in this crisis time. And yes, there was actually sports in the Bay on the weekend. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Thursday edition of Cogeco News. I'm Greg Esterbrooks. This in just moments ago, Nipissing University has announced they are proceeding with a full campus closure that will last nearly 3 weeks in response to the coronavirus outbreak. The press release was sent out shortly after 4 p.m. on Thursday. Access to the Education Center will be restricted as of 9 p.m. on Sunday. Students living in residence have been instructed to vacate before 7 p.m. on Sunday. And university staff stated that student supports are in place to help those living in residence move out. Meanwhile, employees have been instructed to work from home as of this coming Monday, all in person. Student services have been transitioned to online or on the telephone. Nipissing-Temiskaming MP Anthony Rota is returning to the riding on Monday and not until Monday, but is urging people in his riding to abide by the health protocols. Rota joined us on the telephone earlier on Thursday to tell his constituents how the federal government is trying to help and how you can access that help.
It might be easy just to call my office at 705-474-3700. The doors are closed, but we're fully staffed, and we're taking calls as they come in, and we can see exactly where it fits in. Some of these have been announced. There's close to $27 billion in direct support for Canadian workers and business that have been announced, and that includes families and just population in general. There's been some changes made. If they make a call, they might be able to help.
It said they're going to give out as much as $82 billion in relief, but many speculate that's going to have to be a lot more than that down the road, even if this ends in 2 or 3 weeks. Rota doesn't want to speculate on any of that at this point.
We'll have to assess it in a week from now. Like I said, we're in uncharted territories. For us to speculate on what's going to happen in a week from now is next to impossible. We're trying to think ahead as much as possible.
Legislation like this relief package has to be passed in the House of Commons for it to be effective and to be used. When would that happen?
We're looking at next week sometime. We'll see how that comes as we get closer. There's been a request put in, but no actual date for when the legislation gets passed. You know what? Stay strong and just try to avoid crowds. Do not panic. The big issue right now is paying bills and staying healthy. So just please remain calm. And if there are any questions, please give us a call at my office. We'll be more than happy to answer what we can.
Apologize a little bit for the audio there. It wasn't the best. We're going to try to transition to Skype as soon as we can, because obviously face-to-face interviews aren't always the best thing given the current climate. Meanwhile, reaction in the Nipissing First Nation is no different while they try to maneuver through this crisis. NFN has already suffered some significant financial hits since this started, but safety is paramount according to their chief. Joining us on the telephone is Nipissing First Nation Chief Scott McLeod.
We've been monitoring this right from the start. I think one of the first concerns we had was the large gathering of the Little NHL hockey tournament that we were the host community of. So we were paying particular attention to the news of the outbreak from the very start, and starting mostly concerned with that tournament. And then as things progressed and we canceled that tournament, then we started to make sure that all the safety measures were in place and that our pandemic plan is ready to go as things progressed over the last week or so.
And how long have you had a pandemic plan in place? Has it been a long time?
Well, we have had emergency plans in the past, and more recently have been working on the pandemic plan that was in draft form, but is currently being rolled out in its final form over the last week or so.
Have you been getting a lot of calls at your office, or if your staff been dealing with a lot of concerns, or at this point is it still, because there are no positive tests or results actually in this region, is it a state of calm right now, or is there still a state of unease?
Well, everybody's a little anxious, I believe, and concerned. But our priorities here at Nipissing are to ensure that our community and our staff workers are protected against any risks. Right now, the current situation is, confined to having large gatherings or working in, high traffic areas. But these things are constantly changing every day, and we have a plan in place as things progress. Like we assume, things are probably going to get worse before they get better. We have measures in place that are going to ensure staff safety and community safety, but also ensure that essential services will remain. So we have plans to that effect. Currently, we're continuing to monitor and continuing to check our plans and make sure everything is sound, and just to be ready for the worst case scenario. And that goes out to my community as well. That I'm making myself available 24/7 throughout this ordeal, and it's just one of those things that I feel is very important, that leadership remains available and stays in the forefront of this.
The North Bay Food Bank is changing with the times to cut down on the potential spreading of germs in the facility. A new protocol has been in place since the beginning of the week in response, of course, to COVID-19.
We've taken it very seriously, so the board and I met on Sunday to formulate the plan of moving forward so that we can keep service going and make sure everyone that needs to be fed is fed. We've limited the intake area to 5 clients at a time. We take them through intake, they get their food, and once they're out the door, then another one comes in. So we're always rotating and not having like a bulk of people in the waiting room.
And literature and other items that are typically out for handling, no more.
Yeah, no more. So anything that has a hand-to-hand contact where we can't really control the cleanliness of it, we've removed that.
When you see pictures online of people hoarding groceries, unnecessary purchasing, what effect does that have on you being the operator of a food bank where people in need could really use that merchandise if people just kind of shared what they have?
So, I mean, we're dealing with the vulnerable, and they're vulnerable in many, many ways, whether, it's food insecurity or addiction issues or mental health. There's things going on in their life that we don't know about, and our little piece that we can help them with is a comfort for them. When that gets upsided by hoarding and empty shelves, they think differently as well. So what we try to say, to the community is we don't need to hoard. I mean, just shop like you normally would have shopped every week, get the normal stuff you get, but stay home after that. I mean, that's going to curtail this disease and doing our part. But for us, normally I'd be monitoring levels on a lot of things that we hand out, like toilet paper, mac and cheese, canned fruit, potatoes, things like that. And when they get low, I would go and purchase, or donations would come in. Well, that's kind of gone sideways. I mean, people aren't donating as much, and they're not getting out to come and see us. So we need to really curtail that.
What items do you need the most at this point in time?
I'd say it's canned potatoes, canned fruit, mac and cheese, any non-perishables that will help someone sustain a meal for a couple of days. So, if you can mix things together, a can of green beans, things that will help them survive in the interim to get through this normally like they would in between revenue incomes.
For some members of the workforce, this COVID outbreak could result in lower income. This could mean an increased demand on the food bank.
I am concerned about that. We've already had one instance in the last 2 days where the family has identified as being on a layoff because of COVID-19. And, their job was very low paying part-time to start with. making ends meet is really difficult for that demographic. And yeah, we're going to see some more of that. And the more we can get the community to stay helping us, we can help everybody.
A small piece of good news has crept into the bad news situation as gas prices have tumbled during the COVID-19 pandemic. Prices have dropped across the province, across the country for that matter, around 98.9 in North Bay, and just outside of North Bay, First Nation territory, it's down to about 88 cents a litre, which seems good, but in Southern Ontario and many other locales, as usual, it's a lot cheaper. As a matter of fact, in some parts of Ontario right now, it is 64.9 cents a litre, a whopping, as you can tell, I did the math, 24 cents a litre cheaper in other Ontario locales. Breakdown has arrived here in Cogeco News. When we come back, some normalcy in the newscast with the return of Pet of the Week and more right after this. Welcome back, everybody. In less than a week, the hospitality industry has been devastated by the COVID-19 virus and the impact of it. Deerhurst, one of the most famous resorts in really Ontario, is closing down for about 3 weeks. The resort is set to reopen on April 10th, but frankly, who knows? Deerhurst, located outside of Huntsville, is one of the most prestigious destination spots in the province. More now from James Bowler in our Muskoka Bureau.
So we made the decision to close the resort on the 16th, so Monday. We'd been monitoring, like everybody is, what's been going on sort of outside of the doors of just Deerhurst. And our hope was that as long as we felt that our guests, our employees, and our community were safe from us being open, we would continue to do that. Our numbers were climbing, which maybe was a bit surprising. The numbers of people visiting us was seeming to grow. And the decision just came down to us feeling like the environment that we might be creating was becoming one that should have been concerning, so the decision was made to close.
So tell me about those spin-offs of this, the losses, financially and employment-wise.
Yeah, I think, there are so many industries that are going to be hit hard by this. Our industry is one of them that feels it immediately.
It's Thursday, as you know, and that cues us up for a tradition that still remains, another edition of Pet of the Week from our friends down at the Humane Society, 2060 Main Street West. This Thursday, we feature a black cat named Navi looking for her forever home.
This is the newest resident that the North Bay Humane Society has. So this is Navi. She's about 4.5 years old, very friendly, very outgoing, very social, and looking for her new forever home.
How is she doing in the cat room, settling into the new environment?
She's doing very well, actually. So she has only been here for about 24 hours, so new to the environment here, but she is very outgoing. She's purring like a little motor in my hands right now, so would do very well in almost any home. So we're confident she's comfortable around other cats and dogs. So we've got a dog that's roaming around the shelter right now, and she is quite eager to play and socialize. So if anybody's got an active, busy household and they're looking for a new furry friend, Navi might be the one.
How did she end up at the shelter?
So Navi was brought in as a surrender from her owner, so their life changes and they could no longer keep her. So doing the right thing, reached out to us and made an appointment, came in for the meet and greet, and that's how we got Navi.
Now, how are you finding operations, day-to-day operations, being closed to the public but still working and still caring for animals in need?
Definitely. So it's something that the North Bay Humane Society we're struggling with because it's not business as usual, but it's definitely something that we're trying to keep the animals happy and making sure that everybody's cared for and safe, and that's public as well as animals. So, if the people are sick, we've got to make sure that the animals are cared for. So we're doing everything that we can to keep staff and employees and everybody healthy, but as well as making sure that the animals are cared for. So the staff are going above and beyond right now, dog walking, socializing with the cats, spending some time, extra time above and beyond what they normally would, sort of replacing what the volunteers would give to the animals.
And adoptions are still being done through the online application, and then meetings are scheduled. Are you seeing adoptions increase, decrease, or stay the same?
So right now we're very, very quiet at the Humane Society, but a lot of that is just predominantly our doors are closed to the public right now. So we've still got quite a few people that are reaching out as far as volunteering and encouraging sort of the fostering program, but the adoptions are steady right now. So we're really grateful that people are taking the time to think about animals in such a really desperate time for the members of the public, but the animals still need homes as well. So we haven't closed our doors to animal intakes. We've just got to be very mindful about how we do it, and the adoptions are very specific as far as people, coming in and meeting with the animals. We're trying to do it on a very, very low, trial basis, making sure that we have appointments ahead of time and making sure everybody's sanitized going in and coming out, and just making sure all of the specifics are dealt with.
If people have questions, what should they do?
Well, they can call the Humane Society first and foremost, so definitely don't just stop by at the moment. So our doors are closed to the public, but definitely check our Facebook page, give us a call, and our website has information as well. So if anybody has specific information or questions, definitely our phone lines are open regular business hours, so they can give us a call and we can chat through anything.
And if people are interested in Navi, they call as well to book an appointment.
Definitely. So we've got animals at the Pet Value location still, so people are encouraged to go out and socialize and interact with them first. If they're interested in meeting Navi in particular, give us a call and we can book an appointment to have them come in and visit.
Usually at this time we have a community bulletin board, tell you what's coming up. Well, we're going to tell you what's not coming up, pretty much everything. Let's go to the community bulletin board. First, 22 wing closures, the Air Mess, the Wing Chapel, the Canex and Subway, which is located in that building. 22 Wing Fitness and Wellness, Canadian Forces Museum of Aerospace Defense, Military Family Resource Center, MFRC, Little Wings Childcare, all closed. North Bay Symphony, supposed to be April 18th. Brilliant Beethoven concert canceled. Capitol Center, all shows canceled until May the 1st. And the North Bay Ball Hockey League, as announced by Commish Andy Patunsky, canceled for this year in total. Breakdown has arrived here on the newscast again. Mr. Heupel has the weather forecast right after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clark Heupel here in Sunset Park. I am here for your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Plenty of things to get to on this March the 19th, so let's get at it. It is the first day of spring. Current temperature about 3 degrees, slightly overcast skies. However, it feels quite warmer than that. Daytime high 8 degrees on this first day of spring. Overnight on this Thursday night, significant rainfall. A special weather statement is in effect. 15 to 25 millimeters of rain is expected. A rainfall warning could be placed overnight. Now, speaking of 25, that is going to be the temperature swing from the daytime high today to the nighttime low on Friday night. We're going to have close to minus 20 degree low on Friday night. It's going to be quite cold. So, keeping that in mind, the ice shacks behind me need to get off this lake. The deadline is March 31st. However, I recommend they get off much sooner than that because with the rainfall and the freezing temperatures, those ice shacks are going to get awfully stuck into the lake. One more thing to mention before we get to the 5-day weather forecast. Snowmobile trails across the province will be shut down as of midnight on Saturday, partly due to the COVID outbreak as well, partly due to the deteriorating conditions across the province in terms of winter in the rear view mirror. So let's get to that 5-day forecast as the first day of spring is upon us. Heading overnight on this Thursday night, the rainfall will be heavy. It starts around 10 o'clock tonight, 10 to 15 millimeters of rain and a warm low of +4. On Friday, the 20th of March, the rain continues, 5 to 10 more millimeters of rain, and that could change to snow in the afternoon as the temperature peaks at 7 and then falls to -3 in the afternoon. Friday night, check that out, -19 for the low and chance of snow. On Saturday, the first weekend of spring, clear skies, but a cold high of -3 and a cold overnight low -16 Saturday night. And the skies remain clear for Sunday, high -1, low -9. And looking ahead to Monday now, mixed ascending cloud, high +1, low -5. That's for Monday. Turning the page back to the almanac on Wednesday, we had a high of the freezing mark and a low of -12. The normals for this time of March, 2 above and 7 below for the high and low. Well, there you have it. There is your 5-day weather picture. Do stay tuned. Greg Esterbrooks will have your sportscast right after this very short break.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back, everybody. Not a lot of sports to talk about because there's not a lot of sports going on, but there was something going on last weekend. The final skiing event at Laurentian's shortened season took place this weekend past. It was converted, though, from a competition into kind of a training camp weekend, and sadly the skiers would be training for next year. Here's part one of a two-part series.
Initially, we had a ski cross race scheduled for the weekend, but unfortunately, due to the virus, Alpine Ontario and Alpine Canada put a cease or stop to all further races for the season. And with that being said, we had athletes in town on the Thursday where they made the announcement, so we had to change things up and make a decision on how to move forward.
Change it to a training weekend, I understand.
Correct. So what we did was, because we had a beautiful track built that Laurentian Ski Hill was awesome and did a great job on, we put a lot of investment into it, mine hours and everything. We talked to Alpine Ontario and explained to them that the athletes had already arrived, and we discussed with the families that were already present, you know, what their alternatives would be. They all expressed that they would continue skiing with or without our event. So we came to a mutual agreement that we would just strictly train and work on our ski cross techniques.
And what are the age groups of the youth that are here going through it then?
We have athletes ranging from U8 right up to U21. So we got a big range, up to FIS even. We do have some national team prospect athletes here too. We have 4 of them right now that are here that have attended the national team camps in the past and tried out for the team.
Well, part two tomorrow, and just a reminder that was shot on the weekend before the social distancing protocols were fully mandated, and let's hope people follow them. The Voodoos of Powassan, with direction from Hockey Canada, the OHF, and the NOJHL, are canceling their April spring training camp, which is supposed to run April 18th and 19th at the Sportsplex. More than a month from now, but still the concerns are there, so the NOJHL canceled that, and of course they canceled the season. And finally, a happy birthday to a longtime contributor to the show, that fella. Clark found that video right away. Happy birthday, Frank the Toe, and we might see him sooner than later back on the air, helping out a little bit. That's it for the newscast. We'll see you again on Friday for more Cogeco News.